Howdy, howdy. I am Zach,
I am Peyton.
and this is Full Sport Press. Alrighty, let's get into it. I'm gonna start today with
All
what we
right.
saw. Man, I don't know why I'm saying it with like L's. Saw. I don't know. I'll move on. Anyway, mine is actually a bad one, and there's gonna be a few people who know what I'm talking about when I say this is, I still am thinking about this, and it's been over a day. So last night, the Fever and the Aces played. We're going to talk about that game a little bit later, but it was a close game, shockingly. Go Fever, baby! And at the very end, it was crazy. It was Victoria Vivian's, and she was trying to block a shot from Asia Wilson. So on this shot, I want to try to demonstrate this as best I can with my water bottle. So on this shot, this is Victoria Vivian's and this is Asia Wilson. So she's shooting like just a layup, it's really close to the basket. And Victoria comes in like this, barely grazes her here, and then hits ball, making no other contact with her body or her arms, legs, nothing. Got all ball. The only contact there was just that minimum little bit of bump right when she went up. But even then, when she went up and barely hit her, Asia Wilson didn't move at all. She wasn't off of her shot. It didn't affect her shot in any way. So they called this a foul, and the replay played, and it was very clearly not a foul. And Christie Sides challenged it, and they come back and they say that on that minimal contact, that was enough to call a foul, even though it did not affect Asia's shot at all. You can tell there was barely any contact, and then it got all ball afterwards. It was awful. I definitely got back into my coaching days right there, and I might have stood up and yelled some things at the refs. But yeah, it was absolutely terrible. WNBA, come get your refs because this is crazy.
What I saw is going over to the opening weekend of Premier Lacrosse League (PLL). Starting off, we're going to start in the first game. I have 3 different goals that I feel like are like must see, just crazy. If you haven't seen them, look them up. First one is from Ryder Garnsey, plays for the Redwoods Attack, and he picks up a ground ball off the ground, and they're like hitting him over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And he somehow gets up off the ground and just fires it towards the goal, basically not even looking. Like he just turns around and fires it because he's just getting hit and hit and hit, and it just goes in the goal. It was just like an ultimate like tough guy play. Like he just got up and made the play. And then same game on the other side, we got a rookie, Xander Dixon, for the Atlas. And so this one started off with a crazy pass where the guy's falling down and he just kind of one shovels it forward. And Xander Dixon catches it with his back towards the goal, and he gets pushed in the back. And as he's falling down, he does this right here with his stick and just tosses it backwards. Doesn't see the goal once, and right into the top corner somehow, past the goalie. And this is a rookie, first game match of his career in the professionals, and it was insane. And then finally, in the next game on Saturday, we had Connor Fields for the Archers, another attack one. He's dodging down the right-hand side, and he just jumps in the air, brings his stick between his legs, one-handed, and somehow gets it past the goalie like that. All 3 of those are must see in my opinion because they're in their own right. They each have something that happens that you're just like, how in the world? Like in the first one, how does he hold on to the ball while getting just pummeled? The second one doesn't see the goal, just tosses it backwards, hoping for something. And then the last one, the between the legs. It's all 3 insane goals. Yeah, crazy stuff. Now, moving on to our last week's game of the week. Zach, lead us off.
Alrighty, so my game of the week was the Connecticut Sun versus the Wings. This was yesterday, and I didn't get to watch any of it because I was at the Fever Aces game. But I was keeping up with it, and it was close pretty much the whole time. But the Sun edged out, and they get to 6-1 on the season, second best record in the WNBA. so far, right behind the Aces at 6-0. So yesterday, the Sun scored 80 points, and 4 of their starters, um, Bonner, Thomas, Jones, and Hayes, combined for 73 of them. It was insane. The 4 of those just
Jeez.
absolutely putting on a clinic yesterday. And then also talking about putting on a clinic, Satu Sabli is looking amazing. Yesterday she had 26 points, 14 rebounds, absolutely going off. So far on the season, she is, I want to say, either 4th or 5th when I looked earlier today in league scoring, but she's averaging 22.2 points per game, 47% from field goal, 37% from 3, with 10.7 rebounds per game and 3.5 assists per game. She is playing out of her mind this season. I believe this is her second year. So for a sophomore in the league, absolutely playing really good, especially right behind Arike Agumbawale. And yeah, it's a great game.
And then on mine, I was with the PLL rematch of the championship in the first weekend, the Chaos versus the Water Dogs. Now this was Sunday on ABC, and let me tell you, it was a absolute dogfight. Just the final score was 8-7. They were just, it was a low scoring affair. No one could really do anything. If you don't know anything about these teams, the Chaos, first of all, are known for their defense. They have a really good defense, really probably the best goalie in the league, and Blaze Riordan. And they were just shutting them down. Their rookie faceoff guy, Nick Rowlett, he won 13 out of 18 faceoffs, so they were getting the ball straight away. But their offense struggled for both teams, really. And so they went to overtime, and the Water Dogs, Connor Kelly, wins it in overtime with a game-winning goal. He also hit a two-pointer in the fourth quarter to kind of tie the game up and keep him in it. So Water Dogs defend their title, win the first game of the season against the Chaos. But we'll say there is so in case some of you do not know, both of these teams are missing some players because the NLL, which is box lacrosse, that means the indoor, smaller. It's a lot different. It's still going on, and there's a few of their players in the championships and stuff like that. So they might not have been all full strength, but still a big win for the Water Dogs to start off the season. And yeah, it was a good game, even though it was low scoring, just kind of a defensive affair. I think also this was kind of seeing the effects of the new rules in the PLL, which is based off the shot clock. So when they win a face off, the team that gets the ball, their shot clock starts at 32 seconds. So not very long in lacrosse. For example, the college one is like 80 seconds or 90 seconds.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah, that's
straight off
long.
the face off, they get 32 seconds. After that, that goes to
Good.
52 seconds. So if there's a
Still long.
turnover, well, you got to think about they have to get it all the way down the field, and that's
Yeah.
not as quick as it takes a while to clear it. So it once it's like a kind of like the NBA, it doesn't reset to 52, but it resets to 32 every time unless there's a change of possession. Then it goes to 52. So definitely a lot quicker games happening in the PLL. And that's actually our first topic. So I'll just get straight into those games. Starting off the weekend, we had the Redwoods versus the Atlas. As I said, there were two insane goals. It was actually the Ryder Garnsey show in the first half. He had 6 goals, and he was just like, all of them were pretty crazy. Like I could have mentioned any of them in my what I saw because he was just all over the place with these insane finishes. The Redwoods end up winning 13-12. It was a great one to kind of get started the season off. So they start off with a win, then moving on to the Cannons and Archers. Now the Cannons are kind of a new look team. They kind of rebuilt their entire team. They had like 10 or 12 new guys on the team that were either traded for or signed in free agency. And they also have Marcus Holman, who used to play for the Archers and was one of their best players, but he cannot beat his old team as the Archers win 16-13. They were up big at one point, so the Cannons almost made the comeback, but the Archers put them away and win that game 16-13. They have two former college teammates that they reunited this season, and they're looking pretty strong. I'll talk more about that later. And then the last game of the weekend, Sunday afternoon, we had the Chrome versus the Whipsnakes. Now, Whipsnakes last year went 9-1. Chrome went 7-3. So both really good teams last year. Now going into the final 30 seconds, it was tied at 11. So they were going back and forth. Chrome get the ball. They have this play drawn up. Doesn't really work. And then it goes out of bounds. 5 seconds left, or about 10 seconds left. And they have a rookie named Cross Ferrara, who is out of a Division III school, Salisbury. So basically, the announcers are all saying, call timeout, get it out of this Division III rookie's hands. He cannot be the guy with the ball in this situation. 10 seconds left. And as they're saying this, Cross Ferrara runs all the way to the middle of the field past the defender, takes the shot, and wins the game with 5 seconds left. So the Division III rookie wins his first
Nice.
professional game on a walk-off goal. And it was amazing to see. They interviewed him after the game, and the announcer was like, I'm sorry, I doubted you. But
Yeah,
it,
that's pretty cool.
yeah, it was really awesome. I'll have to send you the clip after it just so you can hear them like talking about him, saying how they should get it out of his hands, and then he goes and
Yeah.
scores. But overall, a insane first weekend. All of them were by 1 goal except for one game, which was by 3. I mean, no blowouts, all close games, and I think it's setting up to be a crazy year in the PLL. I don't think there's any overall favorites, any teams that are that bad. I think it'll be a great year for it. And I'll and then looking into this weekend, I will actually be in attendance as it is in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm kind of excited to see how it is to be there. That is their big thing in the PLL. They do this tour, so it's not just like you're going to a home game. It's a tour that they go on. They have all this stuff set up there. It's an event as well as like a game there. So I'll be going to both days of that in Charlotte. Got some great matchups on Saturday or Friday night, Chrome Archers, and then Water Dogs Redwoods. Both of those are 1-0 matchups, so good stuff. And then the next day, they're all 0-1 matchups, but still good teams. Whip Snakes and Atlas on ABC on Saturday at 3, and then the Chaos and the Cannons. Those will all be great games, and I'll talk about one more of those later. Any comments on lacrosse, Zach?
I mean, yeah, it seems cool. It's cool. Like, I mean, PLL, WNBA, like these smaller upcoming leagues, like are getting traction, which is pretty cool.
And I would say that's one of the good
So,
things about ESPN Plus, because like they have
mm,
every single game on there, and there's a lot of small leagues you'll find on ESPN Plus that you wouldn't even realize they're on there unless you're looking for them.
are tickets bad
32 bucks. So not bad
for like both days or
for
just
each day.
total?
They had I
Okay.
had a deal where you could get them like 40 for each day, but I had to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a complicated situation, but
Yeah.
so yeah, each day was 32, and they're
Nice.
both games are included in it. So yeah, um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to go. It looks like it'll be fun. All right,
Yeah.
moving on to soccer. Just two kind of
Soccer.
notes to hit on. Man City beats Manchester United in the FA Cup. One step closer to the treble. If they win the Champions League final on Saturday against Inter Milan, they will have the treble, which would mean they win the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League all in the same season. So hopefully Inter Milan can stop this madness. And that'll be
Cheaters.
at, yes, exactly. That'll be Saturday at 3, I believe, on Paramount Plus or Fox. No, Paramount Plus or CBS. I will personally not get to watch it live because I will be at the lacrosse games, but I will be keeping up with it. Then we talked about it last week, the soccer tournament. I know you watched a little bit of it on Twitter, Zach. Did you see any of it on any of the games?
No, I saw like the clips you saw me on, or you sent me on Twitter, and then I saw like who won,
Yeah,
but other than that, no.
I'll say it was a massive success. I think the amount of like crazy games that were coming out of it, the target score kind of system, I think really worked for that. Um,
Good.
And well, see, I do agree that it could be used in other situations, but like in normal soccer, that wouldn't work just because they take so long to score anyway. Like I feel like that could be going on for ages. But anyway, it was a good success. The town of Newport was who ended up winning the championship. It was like a soccer league in Newport, Connecticut. How they ended up winning, I have no idea. I watched the final match.
Yeah.
It was a crazy ending. They won 2-0, and they win $1 million. I don't know what they'll spend that on. One of them said they were going to Disney. Yeah. But it was a cool to happen so quickly as well. It was just that one weekend and
Good.
done. It was a cool event.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
crazy.
excited to watch it again next year. Oh,
Mm. Is it going to be just yearly like the basketball tournament?
yes. And Chad Ochocinco did play in it. He tweeted
Yeah.
afterwards that he would be back next year, but also bringing some friends. I believe he said
Ooh.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh my
I'm not kidding.
goodness.
He tagged Cristiano Ronaldo in that tweet, and I can't remember who else it was. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But he tagged like all these like famous soccer players, and he's like, "I'll be back next year with these guys." I was like, "Oh, dude,
Imagine
if that happens, I will be going." First of
Cody
all,
Calafiori.
oh my,
Cody Calafiori versus Neymar.
I did see apparently Noah Beck, who was a TikTok star, he was in it, and he got punched in the face in one of the matches. I don't
Wow.
know what happened with that, but that did
Yikes.
happen.
Wow. Alrighty. Well, moving on to the WNBA. Just got a few headlines and then going over just the stats and standings. So one, the Lynx get their first win. They get it over the Washington Mystics of all teams, who are a title contender. The Lynx have been struggling this year. They've got a lot of new faces, and they're trying to put everything together, but it's been a rough start. But they do finally get their first win on Saturday against Washington. So Kayla McBride, she went off for 24 points. Nafisa Collier went 17 points and 9 rebounds. So they both played so good to help get them this win. Of course, Tiffany Mitchell, she has been a good scorer every game. I think she had single digits this game, but still given that efficiency and then still getting it done with assists and the defense she plays. The Mystics in this loss had 4 starters go for double digits, and Elena Deladon, Shakira Austin, Ariel Atkins, and Natasha Cloud. All of them played so good, but not enough to get it done against the Lynx. And then on Sunday, told you we were going to talk about this game. The Aces at the Fever. I was lucky enough to be at this game. Oh, it was so good. Got to see Asia Wilson versus Aaliyah Boston, two Gamecock legends. I don't think Dawn Staley was there, but man, I know she wanted to be. I actually got to sit. There were 2 people that were South Carolina fans and from South Carolina, like sitting beside me across the aisle. So I got to like talk to them, and it was pretty fun. But man, a good game. The Aces led off scoring, and they had like a 2-0 lead. And then from there, the Fever led for basically the entire game until I believe like the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, man, the Aces they know how to close a game. They've done this. They won a championship doing this, and this is a team that's going to go down in history with the players they have, and Candace Parker joining is absolutely insane. But yeah, the Fever can't get it done, sadly, but they are close, I believe. Kelsey Mitchell had 22 points. She went 5 of 6 from 3. Erica Willer had 15 points. She went perfect 3 of 3 from 3. Nice. And then Jackie Young, she was a spark that the Aces needed. She had 19 points. Asia Wilson, I was talking to a friend today at work about this. It seemed like she had a bad game. It seemed like she had a quiet game. She had 27 points and 10 rebounds. It's crazy how even with her playing so good, you don't even notice it because it's just normal now. And then Chelsea Gray, of course, had 17 points. Yeah, basically the Aces are really good. Yeah, the Fever are feisty, and they really fought in that game. And I think they're close to winning some games, but not there yet. So right now the Aces lead the league and the West at 6-0. They are perfect. The 3-2 Sparks are right behind them, and then on the East, the Sun lead 6-1 with the Liberty right behind them 4-2. And they had a bad come from behind loss against the Chicago Sky. They were leading by 19 points and gave it up there.
Oof.
Clea Copper absolutely went off. But as far as scoring goes, Jewel Lloyd is the scoring leader right now. She's got 28.8. Kind of makes sense. She is the only option on that not good Seattle team right now. They've got 2 good rookies in Jade Melbourne and Jordan Horston. But yeah, other than that, scoring is all coming from her. And then in second, you've got Stewie at 23.7. So that's how much Jewel Lloyd is leading by, which is pretty crazy. All right. And that moves us on to the NBA. We got one piece of news. Peyton, you want to tell them about it?
The Frank Vogel news.
Yeah.
Frank Vogel to the Phoenix Suns. Um, sure, I guess. I at
Yeah.
this
I
point
don't
with
know.
those teams, I just feel like we're recycling the same coaches.
I mean, it's just a
Yeah,
carousel
I
right
mean
now.
Frank Vogel will go there.
So
Monty
that's just how
Williams
it's
is
going
going
to
to
be.
go somewhere else. Nick Nurse goes somewhere
I
else.
think he's going to
Yeah,
Detroit last time I saw. Nick Nurse to the 76ers. I mean, yeah, it's just a carousel, and that's how it is until they just like
in my
cycle out.
opinion, there's few coaches that I think actually make a real difference. Spoelstra's one.
Oh my
Like
god, dude.
that Heat
Yeah.
team is not that good. The fact that they're where they are is
Dude,
him solely, in my
yeah.
opinion.
The fact that he hasn't won coach of the year in his
Yeah,
career is ridiculous. But man, yeah, they are playing out of their minds.
yeah. So you want to just go
Um
ahead and hop into that part and we'll, to the finals?
I have something I want to say
Okay,
say before.
go ahead.
So Duncan Robinson, he's a player for the Heat. He game 6 or yeah, I believe 6. He had a chance to kind of put it away and he missed back-to-back wide open threes. And then of course Jimmy Butler at the end got the lead with the 3 rebounds, but then Derek White broke everybody's or not 3 rebounds, sorry, 3 free throws. And then Derek White broke their hearts, of course, with that putback. So he had a rough game then. But then game 7, I believe he went off. Game 2, he absolutely did. And he did a little celebration. He did like a let me hear it celebration. And there's a fun story behind that. So apparently, after game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, he got added to an old like high school friend group chat, and they were all Boston fans. And we don't know if they added him like accidentally or if they added him to be like, yeah, Boston's about to beat you, like you just let a 3-0 lead go, and they were talking all their stuff, and then he didn't. I don't think he said a thing, but he was just added to the chat and got to see all this, and then he goes off in his next games and is doing the celebration. So that if you saw it and didn't know what that was for, there's the background behind it. I think that's hilarious. I really hope that he went in there afterwards and just like thumbed up all their
How
stuff.
can you be that
That would
dumb?
be
Like,
great.
first of all, he's playing in the
Yeah,
finals. Like, or well, I guess not at that point, but he's still on an NBA team, and you are adding
dude.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no way,
crazy.
no
Uh huh.
shot.
And yeah, and I heard all that from the Horse Hoops podcast. Hilarious guys over there. But yeah, they find these they're able to find these like funny drama stories, and just I don't know how, but they're great little nuggets. But go Heat.
All right. Well, the final so far, I mean, 1-1. I just feel like they kill so much momentum, putting so many days between each one. Like, just give them
Gosh,
one
yeah,
day of rest, and then play the next one. These adding 2-3
yeah.
days in
I
between,
don't.
it's just like,
I get it on the days where they
yeah, yeah.
travel, like having 2 days there, but like, yeah, what are we doing? I mean, it's all I guess because of money. I don't know.
Yeah,
They try to go for as long as they can for
I
some
feel like
reason.
it really
It's
loses
weird.
the momentum. But I mean, you got it 1-1.
Hmm.
Jokic playing out of his mind, both games.
Of course he is.
I think it always is. I feel like it's just every game's going to come down to the Heat role players, and like that's crazy to say,
Yeah,
but I think that's just the case. Like you
it
know what
is.
you're going to
Yeah.
get from your stars. It's those guys that are going to be the question marks. How many points is Gabe Vincent going to
Uh huh.
score? Is Max
Yeah.
Strus going to hit his threes? Like on the first in game 1, he didn't. I think he was 0 for 10. I thought saw from 3 or something like that, and it was just like, I mean, how do
Hmm.
you win with that? I mean, once it depends on Gabe
Yeah.
Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, and Caleb Martin. Those are the
Hmm.
guys that I like impact
Yeah.
each game surprisingly to where it puts either the Heat are in a position to win or they're just getting blown out.
Hmm. Well, that and if they can just stop Jokic somehow, I don't. You can't really bet on that, but you do have to bet on maybe just letting him do what he wants, but cutting everything
Yeah.
else off because he gets a lot of assists. So yeah.
But yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens going back to Miami. Can Miami steal another game
Hmm.
there? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's anyone's game right now.
I mean, it's 1-1. Yes, I think it's anybody's game. It wins the next game
Wednesday, yeah.
tomorrow.
Oh wait, no, Wednesday.
Oh my
Like
gosh,
what? Why? Yeah.
Wednesday? Jeez, whatever. Yeah. Alrighty.
Okay, so
Man, moving on to something we haven't talked
yep,
about in a
we are
while.
on to college baseball since we are into the
Hmm.
postseason. So let's go ahead and talk about the regionals that have happened, are still going on at this moment because of weather delays and other things. Um, some surprises we'll talk about. South Carolina coming into regionals
Go
was a
Cox.
big question mark, had been horrible the last month to 2 months,
Yep.
have been not good. Um,
Yeah.
so a
It's
lot
been
of
bad.
they had a tough draw. It felt like Campbell was in the regional, who has been very good this season. NC State, not a bad team. So what was going to happen? Would they struggle? They didn't lose a game, destroyed the regional. Wasn't really any close games in it for them at all. On yesterday, they played Campbell in the kind of the championship of the regional, I guess you would call it. They won 16-7. They beat NC State, I believe it was like 5 or 6-2, something like that. Yeah, 6-3, and then crushed Central Connecticut on Friday. So destroyed everyone basically. Kind of puts a look into, is that going to continue on to the super regionals? Then on the opposite side, well, so let's head
Hmm.
to Clemson. Let's see how they did.
Yeah, let's go talk about the
Clemson, one of the
Tigers.
hottest teams coming into regionals. People were saying they look unstoppable right now. Basically, the opposite of South Carolina.
Hmm.
So Clemson comes
Yep.
in a hot streak. They win their game one. I can't remember who their 4 seed in that region was, but they win game one, move on to face Tennessee on Saturday night, and that's where things get into trouble. They go into, I believe it was it 11 innings? 14, no, sorry, 14 innings, tied at 5
Wow.
throughout.
Wow. It's
Tennessee
a
ends
lot.
up winning it in the 14th inning, 6-5. And so then you look at it, you're like, oh, Clemson has to come back the next morning. Like they played that game late into the night, come back the next morning, have to face off against Charlotte, game like the whole season on the line, and they lose 3-2 to Charlotte to get eliminated. Um,
Dude, it's so good. So I just need to tell a story. We're short on time. Or not short on time. We got time. Um dude, I printed so many South Carolina and Clemson shirts today because we had the refresh go out Saturday. And of course the South Carolina Black Magic tee led the way of everything. Go Gamecocks, baby. But no, it was just funny because me and my dad were texting about all this earlier this morning, and right after he told me that Clemson had lost, my next shirt to print was their brand new Tigers baseball shirt, and I was like, "You can't write this any better." So of course I sent a picture to the group chat and sent it to my dad, and I said, "What an awkward time to for someone to buy this shirt. Yikes!" I love it. Anytime Clemson fails
it
is
is, it
wonderful.
is. All right, so also another surprise, Vanderbilt. I believe they were the 3 seed, or no, 6 seed heading into
Wow.
the regionals, and then on Friday night, or was it no, sorry, Saturday night, they were playing Xavier, I believe. I think it ended up getting suspended to the next day. All I know is it got a rain delay. Maybe it was yesterday. It got a rain delay for a long time. They were down 2-1, and when they came back from the rain delay, nothing really happened. Didn't get any more runs, so they lose 2-1 to Xavier to get officially eliminated. Um, and then so that was a huge surprise. And then Wake Forest, this wasn't a surprise necessarily, but I think in the way that they destroyed every single game they had, they like no. Let me tell you these scores, Zach. So when I say destroy, you can understand what I mean by destroy. Wake Forest on Friday night plays George Mason, wins 12-0. Okay. Next day,
Ooh, boy.
next day they match up against Maryland. They win 21-6. So
Oof.
then we get into
Wow.
Sunday. They have
All right.
the championship of the regional basically to move on to super regionals. So probably a close game. They beat George Mason 15-1. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
literally destroyed every game. Nothing was within 10 runs, I believe. So I mean, like I expected them to win their region, but by those margins is scary, I think, for
Yeah,
everyone.
by that much. Wow.
And then go ahead.
So what's?
Then the
Oh no, go
last
ahead.
one was Oral
No.
Roberts. Um, ends up being kind of the Cinderella. I believe they're the 4 seed in the region. They beat Dallas Baptist in the final of the regional to advance to super regionals. Now, what I thought was interesting was it was on Saturday. Who Oklahoma State was the home team for this like they were hosting the region, the 11 seed in the tournament. They're playing Dallas Baptist in an elimination game. So season's on the line in your home stadium. They lost 18-4 to Dallas
Mm,
Baptist.
damn.
And I had it on a TV near me and I was just like, "Oh
Yikes.
man, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse." Um and
Hmm.
then yeah, so that kind of was the what happened in the regionals. There was a few more surprises, nothing like huge. And then so let's move on to look at our super regional matchups. Who are going to be
Yeah.
lining up against each other? So confirmed, we have Wake Forest versus Alabama. This will be in Wake Forest, obviously. So can an SEC team stop Wake Forest? That's what we'll get to find out. Then the next one will be Texas versus either Stanford or Texas A&M.
Yeah, I got a buddy at work who really wants to play
Yeah,
Texas.
that
He's an
will
A&M
be a
fan, so
former football rivalry. I know. I assume it goes into baseball as well.
yeah.
So they
All I got to say is gig
Texas
'em.
A&M Stanford play tonight at 9 to decide which team that will be. Then we have either Indiana or Kentucky. Let me see if that game's over. They are in the first inning.
Oh man,
Oh yeah,
cross
and
border
then either
rivalry.
LSU or Oregon State. It will be LSU. So either Indiana or Kentucky versus LSU. That Indiana Kentucky game is the bottom of the first. Doesn't matter who wins. That will be in Baton Rouge. LSU will have that game at home. Then Tennessee will be facing off against Southern Miss. That was a surprise. They won the Auburn regional. And then we have Indiana
Good.
State versus the winner of
Yeah, I saw that one.
Arkansas TCU, which was TCU. So Indiana State versus TCU. Quick note on TCU. I forgot to mention this. Did you happen to see what one of their players did against Oklahoma? Inning
I
number
don't
one,
believe so.
he hits a grand slam.
Oh wow.
Inning number
Inning number
two,
one. Good.
he hits a grand slam.
Oh no. Wow.
Inning number
Alrighty.
6, he hits a 2-run homer.
Are you?
And
I was
then he
about to
also
say.
drove in 2 more players. So he had 3 home runs, 11 RBIs against Arkansas. Back to back
Wow.
grand slams in innings. First inning, second inning, hits a grand slam in both. That is nuts.
That's
Um,
crazy. I feel like the first one obviously felt good, but after the second one, you think it's like,
yeah.
okay, cool. Like
So
did
that
that
was
already.
Trey Richardson for TCU. So be on the lookout for him against Indiana State. Then we have Oral Roberts versus Oregon. That was an unexpected one, I believe. I don't think either of those teams were
Hmm.
favored. Then we have the winner of Duke and Coastal. Let me make sure. Has that game finished? No, they're in the bottom of the second, tied at 0. The winner of Duke and Coastal versus Virginia. So that'll be a good series. Virginia will host it. And then Florida versus South Carolina in Gainesville. I think hands down, this is the series of the Super Regionals. I think if South Carolina,
Go Cox.
hold on, my Siri won't go away. My Siri popped up in the middle of me talking about that. All right, we're good. So anyway, sorry folks. Siri apparently thought I said something to do with Siri. Anyway, uh, South Carolina, Florida will be like the one to watch. Is South Carolina legit? And if they end up beating Florida, I think they will be looked at as probably the most dangerous team in the College World Series.
Go Cox, baby.
All right, college football.
Yes, sir. All right. Just a little bit of college football news. Speaking about the best conference to ever be or ever will be, but maybe no more. Who knows? The SEC is making changes in 2024 when Texas and Oklahoma come into play. So, as of right now in the SEC, there is an 8-game conference schedule, and that will be the same. So they're going to keep that. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. I assume we're going to have to take, like right now, South Carolina, we play 2 teams from the West, and so does everybody else in the
Yeah.
East. And you have one team that is a permanent rival, and then one that you rotate
My
yearly.
guess
So I'm
it'll
assuming they're
just be
gonna
like they
what?
play one rotating opponent every year instead of having a continuous opponent from the West.
Well, I don't know because they're also going to eliminate the
Oh,
divisions.
okay.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen. Yeah.
Well,
So
then I guess it doesn't really matter
uh-huh.
who you play.
So yeah, I mean in 2020 it's just what the big deal though
Yeah.
is the rivalries. Ooh, that got real
Rivalry.
country. Like that rivalry. Yeah, that's the big thing because you're going to lose so many possibly. But you can add new ones and like we're gonna get A&M and Texas again, and we're gonna have Texas and Oklahoma. But I mean, what about these other ones that we might be losing? Tennessee, Alabama
I
could be at stake. LSU, Florida has become a huge one lately. That could be at stake. Um, Carolina, Tennessee, I would say, even though that's not one that's
well,
always speculated when you talk about like the
yeah.
3-game
With the three
pods.
game
But
pod, I mean, I think
yeah,
they'll definitely keep everyone's number one rival. Like, I think Alabama and Tennessee will be like one of the they'll be playing each other every year. But
yeah.
I do think those kind of second tier rivalries that aren't like the one you look at, but like they just have became rivalries over time because they played so many times. Like South Carolina, Georgia, in my opinion, is a rivalry. Now, is it like one of those top tier has to be protected at all costs? I don't know because like Alabama, Tennessee, yes, but
I mean, but see, I would say it does because it's
yeah,
absolutely a cross-border rivalry. And then in recent past, not the nearest recent, but in recent past, as in like the last 20 years, it's been closer because we've been more feisty and we've gotten
well,
those
I'll
upset
say, but
wins.
then you have to
So
then it
I'm,
raises the question: what do they going to value when they put Georgia's opponents? Because Florida, you would argue, Florida's definitely
yep,
rival. Um, who
yep,
was the other one I was thinking of?
yep,
Auburn. They play each other every year, and that's a rivalry.
yep,
You could say Tennessee. You could
yep,
say us. You can say. I feel like you have an argument for a few different teams. Missouri over the past few years has been like always like a close game. I feel like with them.
yeah.
I don't know.
See, I know for our pod, I've always seen Georgia, Florida, and then like Vanderbilt, which nobody wants Vanderbilt, but it is what it is. They're still here for some reason. Um, and like I wouldn't say like Florida and Vanderbilt are
Yeah,
our biggest rivals. Definitely not Vanderbilt. Florida, I could see the argument, but I would say Georgia, Tennessee, and
yeah.
honestly Mizzou. But
And see,
yeah,
then you got because then they will add in
I don't know.
also Texas and Oklahoma. Someone's gonna have to take them on as their 3 game pod.
Yeah, and see, they
Yeah,
don't have any rivalries besides A&M. I mean they're gonna have to like dig back
yeah,
into the archives to dig up some rivalries. Maybe
that could
Arkansas
work.
and Texas, Arkansas
Missouri
and
maybe because
Oklahoma.
they were both in the
Um,
Big 12 at one point. I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah, I
but
don't
I
know.
think it'll be interesting to see what they
I guess
do. I
there's
mean, I don't know if there's a right way to do it at this point, but
yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see it. I think that we really are we're inching closer and closer. It's not going to be anytime soon, but we're inching closer and closer to just either super conferences or just a crazy playing field that we can't even
I
imagine
will
right now.
tell you. I'll
But
tell you what I think the
I'm
answer
excited
is,
for
and
it.
it'll never happen because of money. The answer is no conferences. Everyone's independent.
Yep, I
That's how
agree.
you settle it,
Yep, I agree.
because then those teams are going to have to choose who
It
they
is.
play. They're going to have to earn the right. They're going to have to schedule opponents that are good,
Hmm.
and it's not just we play in a good conference. It's
Yep.
you have to earn that by scheduling, and I think that's the only way you can eliminate this or get to where they're going without just excluding teams.
Dude, the only way I could imagine that happening is if there's trademark, just in case this is something that can become real. The only way it could happen is if like
Trade.
everybody just there's no conferences, so get rid of all the conferences, all the TV deals, and just have all the schools make a deal with ESPN, and ESPN comes out with a college football
Yeah.
Saturday pass that is going to cost an arm and a leg to watch, but that way every school could get money, and then every school can play whoever they want. Have the playoffs be as big as you want. There's no conference ties. You can keep the bowls, you can get rid of them, do whatever. But and
I
I
well see.
trademark.
I think the real problem would be if they do eliminate conferences, is those lower teams wouldn't be able to survive, just because like Vanderbilt's football team
Yeah.
doesn't survive without the
Mm-hmm.
money from the SEC, like or whatever conference they're going to be in, which
Yeah,
they probably
yeah.
would if we all went independent. But like the
See, that's.
especially smaller teams,
But then you also got to think
that's
about
true.
NIL too, and how that could play a factor. And I can't speak to that right now. I have no clue how that could play a factor right
Lots
now.
of things
But
changing in the college
yeah,
world.
man. Oh man, the college football naturalists
Yeah.
are hating this. They're hating it. I can hear my dad all the way from South Carolina right now.
All right, let's get our games of the weeks. And this might be a common theme over the course of the summer, where my
It's
game
gonna
is going to
be.
be a
It's really
lacrosse
gonna
game
be.
and his game is going to be a WNBA game because that's
Listen, I am completely obsessed with the WNBA right now,
and
so
I
that's just
am
how
as
it's gonna
well with
be.
the PLL. And I'm very excited for this season. So my game of the week is on Friday night, 6 o'clock, Charlotte, North Carolina. I will be in attendance. If you are not in attendance, ESPN Plus is where you find it. Chrome versus Archers. It just so happens these are the two teams that I have T-shirts for, so I'm still deciding which shirt I will be wearing. But
Nice.
I mean, I'll
Swear
bring
them
one just in
both.
case the other one loses. Um,
Oh, how about
that
you
could
tear
also
them in
work.
half and sew them together?
So both these teams are 1-0, coming off Chrome more of a successful season for them. The Archers kind of a little bit of disappointment knowing what they had coming into that year. Now coming back, Grant Ament, the star attackman for the Archers, won I believe Rookie of the Year in 2021. He got hurt a lot last year, only played 5 games, but he's back full force this year. He did have a tiny injury at the end of the game last week. Let's hope it was nothing. But he is the man for the Archers. He is an insane passer. He leads that offense. And then they go this offseason. They add O'Keefe, his teammate attackman at Penn State, who he helped set the goal record because he kept throwing him so many assists. He ended up scoring the most goals in NCAA history in one season. So yeah, these guys are back together in the pros, and it looked good in the first week. I believe O'Keefe had two or three goals. Ament was playing good until he got hurt at the very end of the game. Can they establish that connection they had in college and keep going back and forth with it? Connor Fields, I talked about him earlier with the goal. He's the third guy in that attack, so they are not struggling at all. And you add in Tom Schreiber at the midfield. So the question is, how do the Chrome stop this offense? And it comes down to finding the right matchups for them because they got some good defensemen. They have former defensive player of the year in the PLL. Hold on, let me get his name so I don't make sure I don't get it wrong. JT Giles Harris from Duke, former defense player of the year in the PLL. Him, Michael Manley, and Jesse Bernhardt in that defense, which is a solid defense. So this is going to be just a heavyweight matchup on that side of the ball when the Archers have the ball. And it's going to be interesting to watch, especially they both won week one. And then you look at the Archers, Fogo. That is a face-off specialist, Zach. He is a rookie coming in, and he dominated the game. He went 24 for 30 on his face-off. Also scored a goal and an assist. Mike Sisselberger. If he can continue this, yeah, if he can continue this, then the Archers are looking possibly unstoppable this season, and they would be early favorites for a PLL championship. So it'll be a great matchup.
Nice. Sounds good.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like it's gonna be fun to be there. I saw you sent us the like map of where they could go, and India's not
You
on
have
the
some
list,
close
which
locations
boo.
though.
But yeah, it's not good enough. Anyway, getting into my game of the week, as Peyton alluded, it is the WNBA. We've got the undefeated 6-0 Aces traveling over to Connecticut, the Husky state. I'm imagining the Huskies like their national, or nope, not their national. Huskies their state bird. Anyway, they are playing the Sun, 6-1.
Okay.
There's a reason I said that. I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, the Aces are playing the Sun Thursday night in Connecticut, 7 o'clock on Prime Video. It's going to be all about can the somehow unstoppable Aces with Candace Parker, Asia Wilson, who was going off, Jackie Young, who was going off, Kelsey Plum, who had a rough game last week, but I think is probably going to bounce back. Can they continue to go off and have this amazing offense against the tough Sun defense with Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner? Oh my God, they can lock you down. But not only that, they can also score. Alyssa Thomas can do everything, and she is like a front runner for MVP candidate for a reason. And then on the inside, you do have Brianna Jones. She obviously is not as good as Asia Wilson, but she is a tough matchup, and we'll see how she can hold her. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. Thursday night. I'm excited for it. I'm ready to see it. I have to pull for the Aces. I got to pull for my girl Asia. But yeah.
Um,
Well, any last things to
remember
add
Champions
before we
League
go?
final also on Saturday, and the Super Regionals of
Yep,
baseball.
it is.
Yeah, that's all about it.
Mm-hmm.
We will see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.